All right. Welcome to a brand new season of HHC Live. I'm your host today, Jacob Moreno. I'm here with my wonderful brothers, Chris and Josh, and our brand new, our brand new brother, right
Our
now.
brand new brother.
Brand new brother, yeah.
I'm here with another member of the pod. He had always been here talking with us throughout the season last year, but he'd just been a little bit more through behind the scenes about it. But now he's got the time. Now we're very excited to have him on the podcast every week with us. Welcome our brand new brother Juan. Uh, how you feeling right now, Juan?
I guess I feel good. I didn't realize I was a brand new addition to the family, but
No, yeah, no.
good to be here.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's exciting. We had a lot of fun last year going through everything and having a very exciting year with the Spurs crew as us with brothers, and now it's going to be even more fun because we have, I feel like, more exciting developments coming through, and we have our other brother to be here on the podcast to make us our complete four, right?
Yeah, we've had our ties to like the Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Court, and now it feels like we're finally there.
We are
Mhm.
complete.
Exactly. Every week, this is a 10 a.m. podcast. We do this every week on Sundays. We stream to YouTube, to Twitch, we stream to YouTube, to Twitter, and now Twitch, right? But this is also going to be linked to Facebook, and we try to stay as consistent as we can. We'll make sure that we have as much good content for y'all to talk about Spurs basketball and other things pertaining to the NBA, but mainly Spurs basketball here. We love our Spurs, as you can tell from all of the outfits that we got going on today. But we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of off-season things. We got some preseason things that have happened, and then obviously the regular season's coming up. So we got a long podcast. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So
What do we got? 3 days?
yeah, exactly, right. It's
3
it's
days.
Sunday, and our first game is Wednesday. So that's gonna be very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff indeed. But with that being said, I think we should just go ahead and get right into it. Our off season has been a lot more crazy than the last couple years. We have picked up some nice players. We've traded some key players, and it definitely looks like we're making a big transition into a new movement, right? So, Juan, this is your first time on the podcast. I think we'd all like to hear your voice first. And what do you think about our latest off-season acquisitions?
As far as like who we added, I think we did a good job of finding shooters. Like it was like obvious. We looked at our team a year ago and said we need more shooting. We added Doug, who shot 38% from three. Bryn shot 45% from three last year. Now that's with the Greek Freak as their main guy over there, so it creates a lot of spacing opportunities for him, I guess. And then our rookie Primo, I think his skill set is going to be beneficial as far as the shooting as well. And then if you think about the people going out, we lost Patty and Rudy, who were both our key like 3-point shooters last year. So like it offsets a little bit of that, but also replacing like DeMar with Doug McDermott in the lineup, I think would help our spacing, and then all that spacing in general just helps our guys like DeJounte and Keldon, Derek on the drive. So I think we're going to be like better off going forward with just more spacing, more opportunities to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like your thought process about our spacing coming into the year, because it's definitely been like one of the key issues that we've had to deal with, that we've all talked about so much last year, that coming into this year, honestly, these preseason moves or like these preseason games have been actually like pretty decent to look at when it comes to our spacing, because having like Derek back for all those games, even if he wasn't shooting as hot, that's still a threat on the 3-point line. And so then having like Derek out there, then Doug, just to like kind of maintain that spacing, keeping a threat going on. Even DJ hitting some threes, so it's been pretty nice. Josh, what do you think about our offseason acquisitions?
I mean, yeah, I'm like, I totally agree with what Juan was saying. we added the shooters. Even though we lost some shooters, I feel like we got some in return. Last time when Brent was in San Antonio, everybody kind of killed that guy, bashed him because he played a lot. I feel like personally, I was kind of on that train too, like I like the guy and I feel like he's a good like role player, right? And the last time he was here, we just had him starting every game and he was playing more than I feel like he should have. So I'm hoping this time around if Derek can stay healthy, because it's looking like Pop's gonna go Derek DJ at the 1-2, right? So if Brent could come in and spot up and let DJ drive and kick and let Lonnie or Derek or whoever drive and kick and be that type of guy for us, man, I think he's going to help us a lot. So I like that, and not to mention Dougie. Dougie's the same way. We went to the game the other day, the scrimmage, and he had a couple nice drives, but I feel like that's just bonus. I feel like when I think of Doug McDermott, I think of a shooter. So when he's out there spacing that floor at the 4, or if hopefully we play him at the 3, so hopefully we could get a 4 in here at some point, or we'll see who takes that role. But I like it, man. And those are just 2 of the guys that I've been talking about, Dougie and Bryn. But yeah, Josh is someone he can shoot the ball. So that's good shooting that we're getting coming into the season that we needed last year.
For sure. Chris, do you have anything to add on to that?
I agree with you guys what you're saying about the spacing. And it felt a little sad having to. I have my hoodie on, but I had to retire. I have my Patty Mills jersey. It's got to go in the closet. I got my DeMar jersey. It's got to go in the closet. So we're in a new era. So the spacing's good, but also the pace, right? It's been pretty fast.
Yeah.
Having those guys run up and down. I know we're going to dig into preseason a little bit more, but it has been good to see the progression of that offense too, because even watching Doug get a little bit more comfortable as the preseason has rolled along has been it's exciting because you think about what it could be. I'm also excited. We haven't got to see a whole bunch of Jock because he's been on that concussion protocol or whatever.
But Lonnie knocked him out, right? Somebody knocked him out.
Our own player. I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't see.
It was our own guy.
No, yeah.
But just having some more of those additions down low. I know last year we had to rely on Rudy for a stretch, to play post minutes or big man minutes or whatever. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have the opportunity to see Collins come in a little bit later on in the year.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. I agree with Josh. I think we still need to shore up our power forward in terms of our long term. We're set for our 1, 2s, and 3s for a while. So but for what we got right now, I'm super excited.
For sure.
You mentioned Jock, and I totally forgot. Hey, that guy was not bashful either. That guy was shooting that ball. He was letting it fly when he got his chances.
Yeah,
and same thing for Drew.
Mm-hmm. When they had Drew open, he would take those shots, which I've said multiple times. Yeah, I've said multiple times that having a spacing big is going to be one of the key things that we need. I love Jakob as a starting center, and I don't think Drew or Jock would take the starting role from him. But I think that if either one of those guys could space the floor a little bit, then that just makes our bench unit that much more threatening.
For sure.
I think the one thing that I kind of just want to talk about a little bit is just my guy Trey Jones, just because he hasn't had I know this says offseason acquisitions, but it's I'd like to think just how our offseason has gone so far, and the summer league was one of the things that was in the offseason, and Trey Jones was killer in the offseason in the summer league, So I think the addition of him coming into the season, even though we haven't been able to see him in the preseason, we got to see a lot of Josh Primo, which was exciting. I think coming into this season, though, I feel like we still should be looking out for Trey Jones, seeing what opportunities he's going to try to be looking to take, because he's also a key point into this timeline as far as we know. But I'm talking about our young players, our key players that we're keeping right now, that we're moving forward with. And I think one of the biggest surprises, one of the biggest things that came out of the preseason was a couple roster cuts. Particularly our main man Luka. It was very unfortunate to see what year are we in for Luka?
This was going to be his 3rd year.
Right. So seeing a third-year player get cut like that, especially after a performance in Orlando that a lot of Spurs Twitter had completely erupted on it.
Yep.
I personally wasn't even able to watch the game, but I just remember that night, like looking at the Twitter and then just seeing people all over Twitter talk about poor play, right? Just a low effort play and then just then seeing the news after that Luka had gotten cut. I
The
think
next morning, right in the morning.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It was very surprising because of how our team is looking right now. But with that cut, like are y'all
It was not
seeing?
surprising. I don't think it was surprising.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead and talk about
I
that.
do not.
Why do you think it wasn't surprising, Josh?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't really like speak on his work ethic. I don't know if that's how he was in practices and everything like that. But like, I think Juan said it before, like straight up, like he's had so many opportunities, and it seems like he's not taking advantage of his opportunities at all. We put him in there, and he just looks like I don't know the right word to describe it, but it doesn't look like he really cares too much. He has the skills, he has the size, he could shoot the ball, but he's just not putting it together. And maybe, hopefully, for his sake, right, change of scenery. He just got signed to New York, which I think it's a 2-way deal. So I'm sure he's going to be, in the G League, or whatever. So like, hopefully he could put it together over there, but it just didn't pan out for us, but I don't think it surprised, especially when you watch a play like, I think it was the Houston, right? We just, the last play that DeJounte made, right? You see that guy, you see the ball rolling into the other end of the court. You see how fast he jumped at that ball to throw it back to Keldon, for an easy layup. Like, that's the complete opposite of what Luka showed on that defensive play. He did not want to get back in there at all, and that was it, right? That was a nail in the coffin. Pop said, out of here, bro.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like Jake, you said you weren't able to see it. Like, I was watching the game, and I was watching it kind of casually, like kind of leaning back, laying down, watching the game. And that play literally made me get up because I was like, oh my God, really? Like, that's what he did? Because we've been saying it, or I guess I should speak for myself. Like, I've been saying it all last year. Like, Luka did not meet my expectations last year, and I understood that it was a second year and we needed to
The true power forward, right? A true power forward, right?
Yeah.
Forward, man.
Yeah, true.
He's still the archetype. It's just the specific player isn't necessarily what it was.
But I mean, that's the stuff that I saw all last year. It's like we knew that the opportunity was like on the other side of the end of last year. Like, we knew DeMar and Rudy and Patty was like not a roadblock, but that was just like a turning point, right? And at some point we were going to get past that thing. And it just felt like everybody else was excited for what was on the other side of that. And Luka was like just kind of along for the ride. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it didn't really surprise me, especially, last week, we were doing like our little test stream, right? And kind of just like the four of us just kind of chatting and, or the three of us, but, we had at the time Luka was still on the team, and so we had even kind of said, now that we got Zach Collins on the roster, that's kind of like a little bit of a fire right behind Luka, as in he's got to start moving or else, you know what I mean? And literally like a couple days later he was gone. So
he was gone.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad.
Surprised me though.
Yeah, because you feel like he would learn so much from a guy like Rudy, like and then use that, and then the second Rudy's gone, like take what he's learned and use it to his advantage and
game start becoming a more
exactly what Rudy was, a younger version of what Rudy did for us. Luka could have filled in for that, and probably, I mean, I'm not gonna say done it better, but a younger guy that can move, that can shoot.
Yeah,
you would think, right?
How many times have you heard, like, anytime Rudy was on the floor, like Sean Elliott for the home broadcast, he knows too. He was like, oh, he's got the mismatch. He's gonna take that opportunity, and he kind of spoke about Rudy Gay in that regard of like, he's not going to pass up on this or this or this. And so, like you're saying, imagine if Luka had that mindset too.
Yeah.
Right.
He's huge,
No. Yeah. I think the biggest draw from it is that, like, you can like look into these guys and you can, only go so far into like, are they like actually competing off the court, on the court, when they're not being on an NBA court, are they fighting in the in the gym, you know, like in a sense, like, are you seeing things where you can clearly see their work ethic? Like in my head, the latest thing was like
Keldon
Keldon
was
being
at
in
the
the
gym at
gym.
midnight, right?
Exactly, right.
After the
The
practice,
scrimmage.
the
And so,
scrimmage.
you know, those small things like that can kind of give you and show you the type of intensity that certain players will bring, but then just like some people just don't have that drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little unfortunate to see. But I think one of the other things that are kind of jarring right now is our other roster cut. Like who do we think that
Wait,
we're
I'd
gonna
like to talk about Luca as well.
for sure. Go ahead.
No one.
I for
You're the new brother.
You're the new brother.
I for one, I did think it was surprising, because of like how we said, we were all expecting him to take the leap, kind of out of necessity. We needed him to step up. So, like, to choose Kata Bates or whoever, like, if you want to say we chose anybody in front of him, it is kind of surprising because he was still just a rookie on a rookie deal. I mean, he was not a rookie; he was on his rookie deal still.
Mhm.
It's not like he was.
We talked about that,
Expensive.
right? Extending
Yeah.
him. If we could get him for super cheap, then we should keep him because he's still young.
Yeah, because he's only 21 years old, so it's
Mm-hmm.
he's still a baby. Some of these guys are coming into the league at 21, and I for one thought it was surprising, but kind of just like to the point you guys made, we all noticed it. Every fan noticed it. Every time he would come into the game, he just didn't look like he had like
The
a
fire.
fire.
Right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really unfortunate because in contrast, you look at Primo come into these games, and I know we'll talk about Primo later, but like he goes and gets it. He just when he has the ball in his hands, he makes something happen. He ends up making a play somehow, and it's made it even more frustrating to just watch Luka play because, like we said, the skills were there, the size was there, but it just never really panned out. I just thought it was surprising not to at least stick with it this year because when you think about it, he's
This
like,
kind of should have been that year to
well, he
like.
just was one of the youngest bigs, like we talked about, like how Chris
Mhm.
said, we have 1, 2, 3 figured out. These 4 and 5 positions are kind of still like a lot of fillers and stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing we talked about last week was like the idea of having Luca, if he's not going to be your guy, having Luca be included in trade packages for other, maybe somebody else who fills in that 4 spot. You know what I mean? So they definitely could have went a couple different routes.
Yeah. I mean, again, like Juan said, like, or we're just kind of talk about it a little bit later. Like one of the things that I've always thought about coming into this season was just because of how level our team is. I don't think there's really, other than like 1 to 2 players at the top of our team. I feel like almost all of our guys are around like the same skill level, and for me that meant that like maybe we'd come into this year with a lot of experimenting lineups, and I was really hoping that like Luca would be part of that he would be able to just kind of like, we want to throw Luca starting because we're playing against a more versatile, more mobile 4 this game, you know what I mean? So we're going to start Luca because we want Luca to be able to keep up with him, and
I
I
will
was
say,
go ahead.
I will say, like in Luca's defense, he was a 18-year-old, 19-year-old baby who came over from overseas, and he probably just never clicked. And I don't know how many times we saw him get along, or like he was in like those photos with like all the guys going around San Antonio or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So maybe he just felt,
And that's why I think that the change of scenery might go over there and we really didn't have no. I'm not really sure what New York's roster looks like, but like you're saying, maybe he could find a guy that he could relate with, and then that guy would light the fire under him because
We'll become best friends with Julius Randle.
hey,
Mhm.
who knows? He's a power forward. He could throw him some
Mhm.
moves.
And that guy has like it was a public story that they would talk about a lot last year, right? About like Julius Randle's work ethic and his like taking on the Kobe Bryant mentality or something like that. Like,
Mhm.
so, maybe get a little bit of that going.
And
No,
now
yeah.
that you say that, I don't even remember Luca being in any of those pictures, right? Out with the
Yeah.
guys or
It's definitely one of the things that like it's those small things, those little things that
yeah.
like you see those
And then
groups and you
speaking on that, right? It was good to see Zach, right? Zach and Drew and who else?
I
Dougie
think
and
Jock was out with
Keldon
him.
and yeah, Jock. Like they were at the Alamo and they were all like, that's good. That's great to see, man. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That was just
For
a couple
sure.
weeks ago. So hopefully we have some good chemistry this year, man. Like as the year goes on, it's only going to get better, and I'm
I'd love to
ready.
see DeJounte start showing up in those photos.
Hey,
I need DeJounte. He's always posting on his Instagram
hey,
stories.
that guy's putting in work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But you've seen the
that's
type
why
of
you can't.
interactions too that he has with the guys that he puts on social media. You know, he's always posting the guys, and he's always, my brother on their birthdays, and he's always showing them love. So even though DeJounte is absent from those, I don't feel like he's absent from the group. You know what I mean? I feel like they're all like super tight.
Yeah, just a small off-topic thing that I want to tell Juan. You saw that that Instagram story the other day about him and KPJ, right?
No.
Yeah, after the Rockets game,
the Seattle boys, right?
DJ was like,
Seattle
"That's my
boys.
Seattle brother," and I was like, "Yeah, man, imagine if we traded a second-round pick for KPJ."
Hey, couldn't we have just drafted him?
Yeah, we could have just
Could have
drafted
just
him, man.
drafted that guy instead of
Could have
Luka.
had DeJounte and KPJ.
We could have had him and Keldon, right?
Yeah, that would have been fun, but who knows? I know one of the biggest things with KPJ is that his off the court antics haven't been the most enticing, So
Like stuff that he's done while he's been in college.
Well, I think that's why he fell in the draft was because of some off the court issues, and then
and then that's why he got
bounced around a little bit.
So he got traded to the Rockets was because he just couldn't get along with the front office. There was just a lot of issues that were going around. But even so, that it is what it is. I think we can all just kind of move on. I think one of the biggest things that Spurs Twitter is taking from it is that the Spurs do miss sometimes when it comes to our drafting. But it's clear far and away like the one rare occasion out of the multiple hits that we've had these last couple years. Because even with our second round talent, like we're still seeing Q try to find roster spots. We're still seeing Mezzi try to hit his stride on the Kings.
Didn't Q sign with Golden State?
He signed with Golden State, but they waived
cut him
him
already.
not too long ago.
But just to keep his rights, right?
Maybe. And if that's the case, that's still good for him, right? So, I think we still do draft good talent. Obviously, in my head, Trey Jones being that last second round pick is just like killer for me. Joe Wieskamp does not seem like he's a terrible addition to the roster, being a second round 2-way contract.
He started to heat up and feel a little bit more comfortable in that scrimmage, like right there at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're talking about Joe. We're talking about a couple of our young guys. I think we should probably draw into the preseason. Kind of get into what we saw into the preseason and stuff that we like, stuff that stuck out to us that can come into this new year and be very exciting to look into. So Chris, why don't you start this one off?
I think for me, I know we spoke earlier about like the things that have happened this offseason. It was a pretty eventful offseason, all things considered, for Spurs, with our vets leaving and popping KJ in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. But Keldon came back. He looks tall. He looks he just looks evolved. He just looks evolved. Yeah. He looks evolved physically, but his game is like, it feels a little bit slower, right? In the paint too. Like instead of like trying to go through somebody, I think he's like finding like little lanes a little bit better.
He had a couple of turnaround jumpers, man, that look super nice.
Nice. Yes. So like that's kind of been the thing that I felt, because you were saying about how we're all kind of around the same talent level. Why, through our roster. So who's going to be the few that kind of step up into the upper echelon or like the alpha roles for our team. So it's been really good seeing him take what he's learned, I guess, over the summer and built, and just kind of seeing his progression. So that's kind of been like where my eyes have been at so far this preseason.
Yeah, for sure. I think I have been like liking what Keldon has been going through. I think it's been nice to see just like the jump from all of our guys, like seeing Devin just try to be a little bit more confident into his jumpers, starting the games instead of like getting more comfortable later throughout the games. It's been cool seeing Derek still just kind of be Derek, but now we're seeing Derek with the young guys instead of seeing Derek with the rest of the older guys, right? And then even DJ's 3-point jumper coming into this preseason, just him shooting a lot more has been a very exciting thing.
Yeah, there's no need to like feed DeMar his touches at the beginning of the game to kind of get him going and everything like that.
I feel like a lot of that role has actually kind of gone to DJ. I think that he's kind of gotten a little bit of that, like he's gonna have the ball in his hands and he might try to score just a little bit coming into the start of the game, and then obviously start to become more facilitating as the game goes on.
Yeah. Is what you were saying, how you were saying that everybody is the same level. To me, like the preseason has proved that DeJounte's here, and then we got everybody. Like that's what I've seen, right? Like DJ, I feel like he can get his own shot. He can get people their shots. Y'all know how he plays defensively, like, and then adding the midi that he already had and then extending it, to the 3-point line. We saw like a couple of pull-up threes. We saw him take them with confidence. And even the ones that he missed, they were like right. They didn't look like bad shots. They were like perfect. He just, he missed a shot for whatever reason. But like that's how I feel. And I think exactly what you said, Chris, like and I think it's nice having DJ there and then in the same age group as these guys, because it's like, who's going to go follow DJ? Who's going to go catch DJ as far as like, talent-wise? Because I feel like we have the talent there. They just got to put it together. And who's going to play up to DJ's like, level? And I think throughout the year, hopefully it's Keldon, hopefully it's Derek, hopefully it's Lonnie, hopefully it's Devin, all our young guys. I want them to watch what DJ does, because I feel like he's the perfect example. He came in the league, behind Tony, and he's just like
Patty.
Yeah, right. And he's just like worked his way up. And I feel like if he didn't get hurt, who knows what he would be like if he didn't get hurt. And maybe that kind of gave him a little bit of fire too. So like, it's kind of sucks, right? Everything happens for a reason, right? But he got hurt. And I feel like every year since, he's just like adding little things to his game. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm excited to see what he does this year, being like the top dog, right? He's like, now he's our vet. Like, and how old is he? He's young, but he's our last guy that we've had, on the roster for a little while. So I think I'm excited to see who's gonna step up and who's gonna go catch DJ.
We had talked last year about like the want to, when we had all three of our vets, and it was like, well, we think we might maybe hold on to Patty and get rid of Rudy and DeMar. Like we were talking about like ties to the Spurs culture and all that, and we even said last year too, like if we have to make the clean break. Well, to have DJ as the guy who's leading the new Spurs culture is like the perfect guy, right? Like you said, you want him
perfect
at the
mentality.
front and having everybody having to try to go catch him. I like how you said that, like who's gonna go catch him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, you're correct. Especially like the game, because he played and then he didn't play, and it was like not only was it his like leadership, but also just like it furthers the idea of like, okay, we need to have competent point guards out there to help kind of hold us all together.
So that's what I noticed was that the one game he didn't play, it was like there was an obvious lack of just like
everything.
Leadership on the everything leadership on the court, playmaking, setting up others. Like we just looked real like lost out there. And just like how Josh said, that's the biggest takeaway I had was DeJounte is the guy on our team
for sure.
And he's got the right mentality. He's like he wants to win. He doesn't ever really take plays off. Sometimes he gambles on defense and like makes a mistake, but I feel like he's always trying. I think like the others feed off of his energy.
And I think he hits more than he misses. I feel like on the gambles.
Yeah. I think that's like the only thing maybe you could take. Like I mean, obviously besides like his 3-point shooting, but like the only thing you can like look at and be like, okay, this is what he needs to work on. If that's like your style, right? Like conservative defense versus going out and making a play. But I personally think this game against Houston, this last game against Houston was like the perfect example of how our team can look. Like the best our team will look this year is when DJ and Derek are both flying around and scoring. Yeah. And Obviously, right? It's like, okay, if your two best guys are scoring, like, but it's like that's kind of like the model of what our team's going to be with like Doug spacing and like coming off the bench with like the Lonnies and Bryn Forbes, that type of energy and stuff like that. I think the Houston game is a good example of like a successful blueprint for our team going forward this year.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I kind of take away from what you're talking about with the Houston game because I think one of the biggest things that I noticed a lot was like there are moments in every single game when one of our players is kind of trying to give their own spark, right? Whether or not that was like a Keldon's little push at the end of the Rockets game. Devin had a nice, I think like close to above a 10-point quarter, pretty much, right? And and there's just like a couple of those times where we had like even Lonnie like having his spurts. Obviously, Lonnie's spurts are going to be a little bit more. I'd say his spurts are probably going to be the ones that we see more often than like seeing Keldon or Devin hit those things, just because Lonnie is. I feel like he's supposed to be the spark plug coming into the season. But even so, like we had times when it looked like all of those young guys were going to push something. Even Bryn Forbes. I'm trying to remember what game it was, but he had that one game where he was firing on all cylinders from the 3-point line, and so I think that's going to be very exciting to watch, because if we can have that level of consistency coming from DJ, hopefully a healthy Derek will have some good level of consistency, and then obviously our vets and Doug and Thad being able to just kind of be able to stay doing the same level of production that they give. That way we can see guys like Keldon, guys like I forgot to mention Jakob. I think that's one of his biggest aspects is that he's been able to be a consistent defender. A lot of times where he's not really in a big foul trouble, and so there's just like those things where now we have all that. Let's see what spark we can get from guys like Keldon, from guys like Lonnie, Devin, and then obviously Bryn too. See if Bryn can give a hot hand every now and then.
Yeah, and a guy like Yak, like it's more valuable now because now you feel better about him on the floor because you don't have to rely on him as much. Not that we like ran any plays through him, but just him being like wanting him to try to have more in his offensive package. Now you're like, okay, take your time and start to develop those things, but really you're here to kind of keep the ball moving, play defense. Like it feels better about his position there.
Say good screens, because I feel like one thing that's going to happen this year is a lot is going to be like Doug, right? The way Doug moves and the way he gets like off screens, he's going to have 4s on him. So if he can have a 4 and a 5 on him and just keep running around and get good screens, I feel like he's going to have a pretty good year shooting the ball. Hopefully we get some wide open threes on some cuts and some curls and hiding behind Yak. You know what I mean? Like I think that's going to be a good part of his game this year, like it always has been. It's not like it's anything new. We know what Dougie's about, so I'm hoping that Yak could help him out there.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's very exciting, right? And you're talking about seeing like that Doug and Yak combo as your 4-5. So Josh, if you want to start this off, we would like to see what the lineups for the new.
Before we get into the lineups, I do say like the negative thing I took away from this because that was all pretty much positive, like what we liked.
Yeah, for sure.
But like the negative I took was definitely like our rebounding. We're still getting bullied and just thrown around. I know, even though we destroyed Houston, like they were out rebounding us most of that game.
Yeah,
and I think part of that is because Jakob wants to block every shot, and when he goes to contest and block every shot, like obviously he's leaving that defensive rebounding position, and then teams are just destroying us on the glass. And Keldon and McDermott, I mean, I expected more like rebounding from those guys, but like it's like either DeJounte or like an offensive rebound for the other team. So that's kind of what I've taken, and I feel like we're gonna go against some teams. Like I cannot imagine going against like a Lakers team where it's Russ, LeBron, and AD on the court. And we're like we're not gonna be able to get out and run against those teams, because if we want to stop teams from killing us on the glass, we have to make everybody hit the boards. So.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I
and you
expected.
can't 100% sell on every single Westbrook drive because now you got LeBron as a trailer or AD
Yeah.
as a trailer, or you know what I mean. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they'll put us in pretty tight spots.
That's why you let that man shoot.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess you're right.
Did y'all see that that the question that he had about the
He
3-point
said,
shot?
I don't got many people jumping at me, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah,
I don't gotta adjust. Nobody shoots. Nobody jumps at my jumpers, and that was pretty funny.
that
I'm
was funny.
glad Russ went to LA and found his sense of humor. Um, no, for real. I think I understand that rebounding issue. I think another thing that I would say is like we were trying to our team was like talking about like pace a lot and like being like a on the run team, and then coming into the preseason we were kind of like one of like the slower pace teams that like didn't necessarily have us running on the break all too much, and I kind of want to know what caused that change, whether or not
I
that was
think
like
we'll
the
see more
Doug
of the fast pace
signing
I
as the
think we'll
season
see
goes
more of
on.
the fast pace as the season goes on. Like as we solidify our roster and our lineups, I
Yeah,
feel like then they'll start like
I
because
think
we have the people to do it. We have like the kids,
yeah.
to run that fast paced offense. And like even like I know McDermott's like a vet, but I think he's only like what 29 or something like that, 28. Like
28, 29,
yeah, he's
somewhere
like
in that
he's
range.
like young too. He's gonna be out there running too. So like
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
as the season goes on, we'll get more of that type of Spurs basketball,
Hmm.
and I'm really excited to see that, man. See where that takes us.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
it takes us
and
to the
maybe with
playoffs.
that faster pace, like you have to concede a little bit of some of those rebounds, but it's
Mhm.
like the offensive rebounds that like bug me, that we give up. You know what I mean? And trying to have them limit them to one possession per. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff that I don't want to see, especially when it feels like we're only giving them another possession because like we lack size or because we lack. You know what I mean? Like that
Well,
kind of
I,
stuff.
I think we'd be fine if Jakob wouldn't try to block every shot, because then he's out of position. When we play solid, sound defense, we get stops, and Jakob is bigger than most guys on the court. He grabs the boards, but
Mhm.
it's when he tries to. It's when he gets out of position, and then our guys are scrambling. But if Jakob averages 15, 20 rebounds a game, and we're out and running because he's not averaging 5 blocks a game, I'd be fine with that. But
It's a team thing because like I bet you feel the need to get yourself out of position to go for a ball if like your guy gets broken down a little bit up on the wing versus like if they can corral them to you, you feel more inclined to just all right, I'm gonna go up tall, be big. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So we gotta help
Like
each other out.
Tony and Manu always used to talk about that, like the trust, because they knew they had Timmy behind them, and like it was just like you said, the chemistry, and we'll probably figure that out more and more throughout the season because these are going to be new lineups even compared to last year. So
Yeah. I think the one of the biggest takeaways for me, it's not necessarily a negative, but it's something that I think I wish that we just could have found an answer for was the Thad role. I think we haven't been able to figure out where he's going to be cemented in the lineup, if he's going to be cemented in the lineup, if he's going to be getting PT for us,
Mhm.
because like we didn't really get to see much of what he could bring to our table in the preseason.
I think
Um,
preseason was for at least like in his position was like him and Aminu and Luca, and it was like a lot of experimenting, like seeing what we have kind of
mhm.
thing. And we don't really know where the Spurs are in terms of their
Yeah, I
looking to move him or any of that kind of stuff.
exactly. Like I just think I wasn't able to find myself. I wasn't able to find a concrete answer on is he gonna come into the season? We'll have him as our backup five. Is he gonna come into the season and he's gonna not get PT because we're still just looking to trade him? Like stuff like that. That like I just don't think we were able to find that concrete answer. But
Assuming we keep him, at least if we keep him through like trade deadline,
mhm.
like I don't know, like where do you guys want to where do you guys like find his role? Like what do you want him to be out there doing? I know you kind of already mentioned it earlier about like we just want him to kind of keep that same level of production, kind of keep moving the ball, kind of like what Jakob was doing as
Yeah,
well.
I
Mhm.
love I love the idea of Thad being the backup five, and playing a small ball version of what Jakob does. Because I mean, he does what Jakob needs to do, and then can just handle the ball better because he's just more he's smaller, so then he's able to hold the ball. He's not like a true center, and so then Yeah, like
we
that
saw
just
him
means
step out, right? Hit some threes at the or at least attempt some threes, some good looking threes at the scrimmage.
yeah.
Yeah.
If he's attempting threes as well, I think coming into the season, I'm not expecting him to shoot threes because of the last couple of years that he just hasn't been shooting threes. But who knows? Maybe the Spurs have been able to tell him like, "Hey, we want you to buying into shooting threes again and start spacing the floor, right?" So if he becomes a spacer and then he still has some pretty good ball movement ability as the small ball five, then I'd love to see Thad like fit right there in that backup role until we find a trade scenario for him. And then obviously at that point, we're still sticking with Drew and Jock, who are serviceable bigs to be backups.
In the meantime, though, like having him as that small ball five, what do you do with Jock and Drew?
I feel like that all depends on whether or not Yak's in foul trouble. I think I'd honestly like if I'm seeing Yak in foul trouble, then I'm seeing Drew take up a couple of those minutes to make sure that Yak isn't being not in the game.
In terms of your center depth chart, you would have Thad like in the 2 spot or
Yeah,
like in the.
I would put that behind Jakob.
Right behind Yak.
Mm-hmm. Because but
then when Zach and it's kind of hard right with that because I feel like Drew's like, and as far as big mans, we're just gonna go 4 or 5s and throw kind of everybody in one category. We have Jock, we have Drew, and I like both of those guys. I like both the way that Drew. Obviously, we've seen the last couple seasons, and then Jock he's played really well. I feel like he had some like dumb turnovers, and I can't remember what game it was, but I remember he was turning the ball over a little bit more than he should have
with his passing,
trying to make passes. But I forget who came out and said it. Like he has like Pau Gasol like type passing skills, and it was one of the Spurs players. They mentioned it, and you could see it because the first time he played, he had some nice like backdoor bounce passes. Like he had some good looking passes. So if Jock can just get better at that. Obviously, it's the first time playing in the NBA, so probably the speed and getting the chemistry with the guys, it's going to take some time. But if Jock plays well, Drew plays well, and Zach plays well, because we still have Zach Collins coming back, at some point in the season, hopefully sooner than later. But I would rather play all those guys over Thad because he's not part. And it's kind of like exactly what we said last year. We're like, well, they're not part of our, they're not going to be with us going forward, so why are we wasting our time kind of thing? And I have nothing against that, but it's just like the way the direction that our team's going, I would just rather have those guys playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think there's any I wouldn't be mad if that's like the direction that we go in, because like at that point, I'm like sure some people might say like the ideas of just like, well, you're not trading Thad, or like you're not raising Thad's trade value in order to like get something more out of teams. And like I understand that, but at the same time, like I don't know if we keep Thad for the season or if we do trade him for just like some minimal stuff towards the trade deadline and stuff like that. Like I don't think there's anything. Well, and that's that's like the only thing that I feel like, well, if we're not playing Thad throughout this regular season, and then like teams just don't get to see Thad Young play. You know what I mean? Like some teams probably will be like, nah, I don't want to give you a 1st round pick for a guy that's not playing. Like even if they think that he could still help their team, help their roster. Like that's just in my head, that's just like a way that like I feel like organizations will try to play that because he's just not playing. You see Ben Simmons' situation right now. People thought that his trade value was just going to go even lower because for a while people thought he wasn't going to play, and so then like that just gives the edge to other teams. And I know that's different situations, right? But it's still a matter of like he's not playing, so then teams aren't going to want to give as much because, well, we're trading for a guy who's not even playing on your roster. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
And that's just the small things. That's not even because Dad's kind of like in a sense like a bonus for us. It's not even like he's like a key piece that like we're looking to move or whatever. It's just like whatever happens, and I don't think it's gonna negatively affect us at all. So
and to be honest, he probably is there as a depth filler until Collins comes back. Because I think they were saying they were eyeing around Christmas time for Collins to come back, which would be great. Yeah, I mean, shoot, we're already halfway through October.
Well, I know like this type of discussion is just going to bleed right into the lineup discussion anyways. But I for one just completely disagree with putting that at the 5, because we have all those bigger guys already. So why push those
Why?
guys
Yeah.
down? Yeah, and I like I get what Josh is saying. I'd rather play like Jock and Drew and Zach Collins like over Thaddeus Young, but like yesterday or the against Houston the other day, Thaddeus Young got like a DNP, and we had like Kada at that backup 4. He was like the 4 off the bench, and he had like a pretty good size like minutes and everything. Me personally, I'd rather just play Thaddeus over Kada at the
At the
4
4.
and that
Same.
backup, because I view Kada the same way. I feel like he's just a stopgap guy right now. He's just kind of filling in, and like I just personally think that Thaddeus Young's skill set would benefit the team better, and that second unit, his playmaking, his size, alongside a Drew or a Jock, I think would just be better than what Kada could offer. I mean, they obviously they'll both have their own, but I just think that's like spacing and playmaking along with his size would be better. But what Josh said, when he said it, I agreed with him. Like if you have all those other guys, just play those guys over that anyways. And I just, we got to get healthy, and I'm sure that will go down the bench after Jock gets out of concussion protocols and Zach gets healthy, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely think one of the things that I even I kind of forget about just because it's so recent was like the Luka cut, because like I definitely had Luka as my backup 4 coming into the year, right? Like that was like my guy that was like, all right, Luka's taking the backup 4 minutes and we're gonna do our thing. But now that 4 spots opened up, right? So I can definitely understand that, especially if we're seeing a Drew that can space or a Jock that can space the floor. Then I'm a lot more easy saying that Thad can play that 4 spot because
Well,
of
that would
you know
also space the floor, so you wouldn't really Drew could be your rim roller, and then you still
I'm
have
just
4 out.
saying that like even so like I like it's just like I mean at the moment we haven't been able to see a Thad Young that is going to space the floor all too much. I know that scrimmage he shot a lot of threes, but who knows coming into the season if he is gonna if he is just gonna go back to shooting threes like he used to
Yeah,
before
we saw
Chicago.
Ben Simmons shoot threes in the preseason.
Exactly. Like, are we going to see Thad shoot threes like he used to before Chicago? Or, is this the Thad Young that we're getting now? A
Yeah,
Thad that just does not shoot the 3 ball
it'll
anymore.
be nice, right, to have 5 shooters out there.
Exactly.
That'd be
Exactly.
super nice, man.
And I would be very excited if I saw that. Like if that, I think that could prove useful to the second unit coming into the season. But just like Juan said, I think this is bleeding into the lineups for the new year. And I for sure want to start hearing what y'all have to say about it. Do any of y'all want to go first in terms of what your lineup is?
Were we
Let the new
doing
guy,
were we
let the new
doing a
guy
1 through
go
5,
first.
or were we
Oh.
doing like a 1 through 10? How did you want to do it?
I think let's just do a 1 through 5 right now. That way we can all kind of see like who we have starting,
Yeah,
and then
see,
who we
I'm gonna give my 5, and then I'm gonna give my 6 man. I'm gonna give like 5, 6, 7, 8, pretty much. But go
Okay,
ahead,
cool.
go
All right,
ahead,
5,
Steven.
6, 7, 8. Then
Okay, well, I was just gonna go. I had basically put together like my ideal like first unit, second unit. So I'm gonna go through all the way.
all right, that works.
Uh,
That works.
I know I've been pretty vocal with you guys about like not starting Keldon Johnson, and it might come off like a little bit like a hater, but in all honesty, like I'm a huge Keldon Johnson fan. Big body, like I love him. I just think his value would be even greater on the bench. So my lineup was at the 1 was DJ. At the 2, if they want to stick with Derek, like DeJounte and Derek, then I'm fine with that. Put Derek at the 2, and then start Devin at the 3, because I think his spacing, his defense, and what he showed in that Houston game was he didn't need the ball in his hands, and he was making plays, all over the court. He was like attacking the glass, like with the offensive rebound. He was coming off of like screens, like off of plays, inbound plays, and knocking down shots. So I think his like utility would be amazing in that starting lineup. And then Doug at the 4 with the spacing, and then Jakob. And then off the bench, I know it's hard to believe. I don't think Pop would even ever do this, but I want Primo to just be our backup point guard already. I feel like he's already shown his playmaking, and you'll live with his growing pains, because I think you can put Bryn at the 2 next to him, and Lonnie at the 3, and then Keldon at the 4. So that's a lot of players. Like that's a lot of youth, or a lot of other players right next to him, anyways, that can help him ease that burden. He didn't even have to have the ball in his hand every play. And then with Drew at the 5, that's my ideal lineup. I think it'll be like the best like lineups to get up and down the court 48 minutes of the game. You can run teams out of the building, and I think it'll help space the floor better for the starting unit, and then it'll also give like players like Lonnie and Keldon the chance to be the guys on the second unit. And that's kind of my lineups going forward. That's what I want to see. That's what I would personally do myself, Pop.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean it. I like where you're coming from with the Devin start.
Hashtag Devin Official fan club.
Yeah, exactly right. I have for sure been wanting Devin to be my starter. I still do want him to be my starter. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just take the second thing from Juan, because I have the exact same starting lineup. I have DJ, Derek, Devin, Doug, Yak, as my starting 5. It's my bench that's a little bit like I'm still kind of figuring out who I want like the guard position to be, because we have a lot of strong guards. We have a lot of guys like that, and honestly, I know y'all are not going to agree with me at all, but like if we still had a Thad Young as our backup 5, then I'd love to see kind of what Juan's lineup was. Move KJ at the 4, Thad at the 5, right? And then like you can put the likes of either Bryn, Trey Jones, or who's my other person? Bryn, Trey Jones, or Josh at that point guard position. Then have Lonnie. I'm trying to remember how I had my lineup, because I had right now on my little paper I have it as like Trey, Josh, Lonnie, KJ, Thad, but I could also see Josh, Bryn, Lonnie, KJ, Thad as my 5. And so then yeah, exactly. Like I think that lineup could hopefully be a thing that I see coming into this year. I think the biggest thing for all of us is that we really want to see some Josh Primo minutes, and I do too. But I also still want to try to give my guy Trey Jones some opportunities, because he can't be left out of the dust like right away. Again, he had a very good summer league showing. Even if we just weren't able to see like what his preseason showing was, I still think coming into this year, Trey Jones is going to be like a surprise factor for us, because we just haven't been able to see him all too often. And I think that he can be an effective point guard on the team, especially because he's already been here for a year. He probably knows, I'd assume that Trey Jones knows the offense a lot more than the likes of Josh Primo, and Lonnie's not necessarily a true point guard. So, we need that point guard that can fill in those minutes for when DJ and Derek are not on the court. So I think Trey should fit that.
And it's gonna be a necessity for him, because I mean, we talked about Luka and how he kind of had more competition at his position. Well, like Primo came in, and it was like it's a bad mixture of we pulled Trey because of injury, and Primo in his limited time has done a lot of really good things. So
exactly,
it does feel a little bit like, dang, are we already ready to just leapfrog Trey a little bit? But I mean, like I had put that in my notes too, even back when Luka was still on our roster. I said make or break year for Trey and Luka due to us getting more competition at their positions. So I mean,
and it's for sure. I think it's for sure one of like the sucky things for Trey, just because he is like that lower in the second round draft pick. That like I feel like if we're talking like as if he is a first round draft pick, I don't think we're really like throwing him like behind Josh right away. But because he's a second round pick, he just has to fight more for that, right? Like because he's just already like that little step behind everybody else. But I think he has proven it a decent amount this last year that he should at least get the opportunity and get the chance to fight for that position still.
Yeah.
Even if we've seen like a very exciting preview from Josh Primo,
Mm-hmm.
I personally think he will get his shot, because Pop's going to send Primo to the shadow realm and we'll never see him again.
Yeah,
Don't
you're right.
say that. Don't put that on Cuz like that, man. Go ahead,
and then,
Chris. Go ahead, Chris. I'm ready to hear Christopher's, because I like what y'all are bringing to the table.
All right. Well, I mean, so kind of along those lines, like of having Primo on the roster now, like that makes me feel a lot better. I know all year last year, most of the summer, I guess leading up to the draft, maybe. Like, I was for sure still on the bandwagon of I would like to see Derek White as our second point guard. You know what I mean? But having Primo on the roster makes me feel better about having Derek there in that starting lineup, because it wasn't like you felt like he shouldn't start or anything like that. It was just like you want to have two good point guards, right, all the time, and they are kind of staggering him into that second lineup in terms of how they sub out, at least so far this year.
Yeah. So we talked about that, right? That's what we wanted, right? At least keep him on there and let him run into the second unit.
Yeah, and that's probably like to be honest, that's probably like the best middle ground. I mean, I know in my head, I kind of think more like hockey substitutions, where it's like, all right, these 5 are gone, these 5 are next, kind of thing. But I know that that's not really how it goes. So I got DJ, Derek. I kept KJ at the 3, Doug at the 4, and Yak at the 5 to start. I don't think I would want to try to cram Thaddeus Young into like the 5 spot. I think it's too full with Drew and Jock. So as my second unit, I put Primo / Trey. I think that I would like to see them both, see what you got. Give Trey opportunities for sure. Have moments where you can bring Primo. I don't mind him going to play for Austin to get reps in, but I think it would be cool if it's like, all right, we're going to bring on this road trip. You and Trey are going to split some minutes on that second unit, and that's just what it's going to be for this time or whatever. Lonnie Walker at the 2, Devin Vassell at the 3. I put Collins. I know he's not starting, but like eventually that's where I want him, is that backup 4 spot right behind Doug. And I want him to do the exact same things that Doug's doing, just move without the ball, space the floor and shoot, but with a little bit more inside presence, use the size. And then Drew and Jock, fighting for minutes at the 5. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of not set in stone, but it's kind of laid out in a way that, it's kind of clear. And at least when Collins comes back. Up until then, Thaddeus Young and Kata Bates filling in that 4 spot. I mean, I guess that's where we're at. As soon as Collins comes back, I'm ready. I mean, Kata Bates, I like him. There's nothing against him, but I think I don't feel the need to put minutes into him once Collins is back.
And I have the exact same lineup as Christopher, starting wise, right? You got, and as much as I would like to have Derek on the bench to run the second unit as well, like it's exactly what Chris said, right? And exactly what Juan said. I think that Josh is already our backup point guard, like, and that's just how I feel. So whenever we have that guy, like it makes Derek sliding into that like 2. Like easy for me, you know what I mean? Like last year I wanted Lonnie to start and then Derek to run it, but that's fine. Like the addition of Josh and the way he played, it's perfect for me. So I'm going DJ at the 1, Derek at the 2, KJ at the 3, and I love him being at the 3. Last year we played him at the 4, like, all year and had him running against some big guys. And I think it's going to help him this year because hopefully when he's matching up against some smaller 3s, he could punish them in whatever way. If he wants to shoot over the top of him, if he wants to back him down, like I think it's just going to be great all around. So yeah, we got DJ, Derek, KJ, Dougie, and Yak, and then 6, 7, and 8. And I don't really have a particular order, but it's going to be like Josh, Lonnie, and Devin, right? Those are. I feel like we could. You know how Chris, you said you're like, well, at some point Zach Collins is going to come back. That's why I kind of didn't want to throw my big man rotation in there because we just have like. Our injured guys and
it's in flux.
Yeah, like it's not. So that's why I kind of really didn't bother with that, for this little segment. But like, if Josh can come in and give us good minutes, like I feel like what you and Chris, what you and Jake were saying, like about Trey, I feel like that guy's a goner. Like
it changes it for sure.
Exactly what y'all said. Like it kind of was just a bad luck for Trey, and it sucks because that's like the business. And they were saying like he fell to the second round. Maybe he could have been a first round draft pick. During his draft, but we got the guy. Like I don't know how else to say. Like once we drafted Josh, it was just like. Well, in my mind, the one guy that got hurt the most was Trey, right? Trey. Yeah, and then we talked about it. We're like, we signed Trey, so we knew Q was gone. Like, we knew it. And then as soon as it felt like, oh, shit, we got Josh, so now we know Trey is gone. Like
Mhm.
that's exactly how I feel. And he's just like he's just shown so much in a short span of time. Like I'm just ready for him to put it together and see what he like does against these, in the like some NBA minutes,
And so, and
coming
that's why
coming pretty
I
soon.
think they're gonna give him opportunity. Like I know that
And I
everybody's
think
ready
so
to give it to
too.
Primo, but they're gonna give Trey his just due. Like out of
Oh,
respect, I'm pretty sure.
I don't. I think it's going to be Josh. Like they're going to give
It's like
Josh
the
his.
second. I
Well,
don't know. I mean,
I
go ahead, Juan.
I think kind of like how Jake said, a lot of fans haven't. We've just kind of forgot about Trey, and then we've seen like this Primo mystique, so we're kind of like all caught up in it. I don't think Trey's bad at all, and it's kind of like my
Yeah,
whole point of
it's not a knock. I'm not trying to knock the
yeah,
guy. I just think he got put in a bad position, like bad
Primo is
spot.
just
Yeah.
looks so ready that it just looks bad. But I think Trey is perfect for like that depth because he's solid, and he's not a guy who goes out there and makes mistakes or tries to do too much. He's a floor general, and he plays defense.
That's exactly so.
I think his depth is going to be essential because, like we're all praying for Derek White to finish a full season, but like if anything happens to literally any of those first four guards, I am comfortable sliding in Trey at the 1 or 2 like that, to fill in Bryn, Lonnie, Derek, even DeJounte or Primo, like any of their spots, like the backup spots. I'm comfortable with Trey back there.
Mm-hmm.
He might not get his picks. Me and Jacob talked about this a lot. Um, I mean, Trey was just another one of those, 29, 30th pick point guards that we've had. He just happened to fall in the second round, and we just weren't there to pick him up at 30, or we picked somebody else. I think he's going to be like your Corey Josephs or,
Mhm.
George Hills, even DeJounte's and Derek's. Like, I think he's that good, and he probably won't ever be like a such star or anything, but he's going to be a good. I mean, we talked about it against Detroit. The Corey Joseph, like he's still making plays, he's still doing things out there, and
And he was burning our young guys at times. You know what I mean? Just with
yeah,
that
Mhm.
veteran savvy.
So
I think we don't have to like move on from Trey whatsoever. I think there's nothing wrong with a first round
Yeah.
pick
Well,
stepping in and
I don't
already.
think we're going to move on from him. That's not what I was saying. Like, but as far as like getting buried in the depth chart is
Yeah,
more what I'm saying. Like saying, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I don't want to lose the guy. That's not what I'm talking about.
And
yeah.
the good thing is if our shooting from Lonnie, from Keldon, from Vassell, from Derek, if all that stuff starts to be more consistent, then we are able to give Trey like Bryn's spot, and you know what I mean. Like Bryn is
Mhm.
only with us for a short amount of time. He's kind of like there. We know what he's there to do, and it's to shoot. But and that's because our shooters aren't proven yet. So as soon as we can start to have more proven shooters, now we can kind of justify a kind of that roster spot and keeping Trey on and not feeling like we're just having him and never using him. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna come into this now with two questions, right? And both of them involve Lonnie, right? Just because we're looking at the depth, we're looking at all this stuff. Honestly, I think one of the things that we didn't really talk about that I think is most likely going to happen is probably like a Lonnie being the point guard and Bryn sliding in right there instead of seeing Trey or Josh as the backups in the guard position. Just because I think our team we're probably gonna start like like Chris said, Bryn is our most reliable guard shooter. He I had said it in our little group chat at one point that Bryn was our best shooting guard, and I like meant it as
Yeah,
like just
I
like
was all what?
I
out
know,
of the
me too.
guards
As soon as he
I was
said that, I
all,
was all, what?
as
I
the
was like, Jake's
guard.
on one,
As,
dude. That guy's getting wasted up there or
yeah,
something.
exactly. No, I meant it as out of the guards, he's just the best shooter. He's not the best
Shooter. He's the
shooting
best
guard.
shooter.
But no, so yeah, Bryn is our best shooter on the squad from our guard play, and I think we'll definitely try to be implementing Lonnie and Bryn as our 1-2 combo off the bench. And then my question though is kind of like, Lonnie, like if he doesn't necessarily take those steps forward, y'all, we're all talking about Josh being a guard or a point guard, but I think he's a combo guard. He's a guy that plays the 1 and 2 because of his scoring ability. And what if coming into the season, Lonnie doesn't make that next step all too much, and eventually we're seeing either Josh Bryn or we're seeing Trey Josh. what if we're seeing stuff like that where Lonnie's starting to get pushed out? You know,
Yeah. Are you saying that like do you think that Primo could
could take up Lonnie's spot in that sense, Lonnie's role.
I think I don't think that's gonna happen. Like I
don't
don't
know.
even see I don't see that happen.
Lonnie hasn't gotten his
it's like
extension from our squad yet.
it's like Bryn. Like I would much rather play Lonnie. Like I know Bryn is there to shoot and only shoot, but like defensively, dude. I don't know. I'm hoping that he's improved from what we saw the first time, right? And I know
saw Lonnie get cooked by Corey Joseph.
It's only but Corey Joseph cooked the whole squad that night.
I'm messing with you.
Corey Joseph was going off, whatever.
Yeah,
but like, it's not always like I don't know. Like, if Bryn's out there and he knocks down a couple of threes, but he also got burned X amount of plays. Like that's what kind of ticks me off. The last time he was with us, so like defensively, even if Lonnie's out there and has 5 points, but he played good defense, like sometimes you gotta live with that, especially if we're gonna have a guy in there that's gonna get cooked. You know, like I'll just rather not get burned on one end. Oh well, somebody else is gonna have to pick up the.
Okay, so then we come into the scenario of like, well, I know Trey's not a bad defender. Trey is a pretty decent defender.
I was going to talk. Guard. What is Trey's size as the point guard? How tall is Trey? Doesn't he look like super small?
He's not like he's not obviously he's not 6'5", 6'4" like DJ and them.
Trey is 6'1".
Yeah, see, and that's the thing too. We talk about him, and I'm not saying that the shorter guys can't have success, but I don't want to see him out there getting bullied either.
Well, he's not going to
6'2".
Yeah, but he gets bullied.
Yeah, but Trey is a much better defender than
he's a better perimeter defender, right? And we see the good coaches when they have mismatches, they find a way to take advantage of those mismatches. Well, if we're going to be out there with Trey, and then you talk about Bryn, I'm not trying to have 2 6-foot dudes out there.
I wasn't saying Trey Bryn. I was saying Trey Josh.
You did say earlier.
Did I say Trey Josh?
You said Trey. You said Trey Bryn. You said, what if Lonnie gets pushed out and it's Trey Josh, Trey Bryn? And I'm like, hell no.
No,
I'm not trying to have little dudes run out there. No way.
If I said that wrong, I'm that's my bad. I was saying Trey Josh, which is still not defensive. Like, you know, Josh hasn't shown much defense. Just due to his young age. But if we saw Trey Josh or if we saw Josh Bryn, that's like what I'm saying, because
I do not want,
in a sense, the inevitability of Josh Primo taking up those minutes from the guards in the backup role. I think that's just, you know, it's going to happen at some point if he continues to stay this, you know, this good, right?
Yeah.
And then but I'm just saying that like Trey, I feel like can still be that point guard, and then Josh can be the combo guard in that role. If Bryn is on the court, I don't necessarily want to see Trey on the court, because, like you said, that's too small. That's
too small. And we've had trouble with rebounding. Juan called it out earlier. Like I don't know. I personally, I just don't have no type of love for the little guys, and it sucks, man.
I still think that Trey he's not a negative defender on the court, and, you know, playing against other point guards, I don't think you're gonna really see him get bullied all too much. Switches are a thing, obviously, but you know, if Trey is gonna be fighting for his spots, then you're gonna see him fighting through picks. You're gonna see him fighting to make sure that he's not getting put in those mismatches to where we're like, oh man, Trey's so negative on defense, we can't have him on the court, right? Because, like you said, you know, if you want to have Lonnie with only 5 points and no and some defense, well, then why don't we just have Trey, who's a leader of an offense, be able to move the ball around and still, you know, do his thing, and then have Josh be the scorer. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a perfect 1-2 combo.
I mean,
go ahead.
I'm just saying, we're talking like Josh. We got to see if he could do it against the guys.
Yeah, first, in regular season format and all that.
Like,
no, for sure.
I'm not saying that he can't, but I mean, I still want to see it before we crown that guy. But
exactly.
Are you saying, like, if Lonnie doesn't improve at all, like if he stays the same like what we've seen, or are you saying like if he regresses?
I'm kind of saying stagnate. I'm saying like if he kind of stays the same.
So then if that's the case, then I still kind of agree with Josh, where it's like, I mean, I don't think he's already shown enough that even if he stays the same, you still would rather have him on the court. than some of the guys we have.
Yeah, and at the very least, this is the opportunity or the season where we're really trying to see what we have. So I mean, you got to give Lonnie his fair shake at it.
He's one of the guys
sure.
that I think that was in the DJ stuff, right? Whenever like it was DJ, pretty much DJ, Lonnie, and Keldon. You know, whenever the DeMar things happened, and they were like, "Hey, it's our time." I think he was one of the guys, posting on social media too. So I feel like he knows that the opportunity is there.
We feel the disrespect, or what did he say?
Something, and it was all three of those guys, I think, KJ, DJ, and Lonnie, that were the most like out there on social media, posting little things here and there. So I feel like all three of them know what the season's about. So I feel like they all have the same mindset, like, this is our chance to do what we got to do. And I feel like they're going to have that mentality coming into the season,
Yeah.
I think it's a super good thing, like super good.
And I think solidifying his role, like going into the year saying, "Hey, Lonnie, you're gonna be coming off the bench, but you can be the sixth man. Like you're gonna be the guy off the bench. You can have the most opportunities."
The Patty, right? The Patty. Yeah. I mean, exactly what Patty was for us
to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And and even if he's just as hot and cold as Patty was never a
knocked down 100%.
Yeah. So if he's as hot and cold as Patty, like I feel like some people will be a little too rough on him. I think he'll be fine this year. Six man, like buying into a role, knowing his role, not in and out of lineups. So I think Lonnie will show.
I know last year I wanted him to start, and I felt like he had the opportunity to start. But also watching Jordan Clarkson, right? Watching Jordan Clarkson all season just come off the bench. Like I feel like personally, Lonnie could do it if he put it together. He could do it on the first unit. But then, like with the addition, like we got Josh, and then we just talked about it, like Derek, moving Derek up. Like I guess if we're gonna have that, then go get you a 6-man award, dude. Go do it. Just like 20 did. Shot. Just like number 20 did for us for X amount of years. I guess if he could buy into that role, then I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I definitely I did want him to start. Like I still wouldn't mind it because I would love Derek, just like Chris said. Like I still would love for that guy to go run our second unit. But if that's the way it's gonna be, and that's what Pop wants for our guys, go get you that award, Lonnie.
Yeah,
I think like me bringing up those questions weren't necessarily like my doubts of like, well, I think Lonnie's not gonna come into the season improving or anything like that. But it's more just like like these scenarios can happen. These things can like there's just like little things where like maybe Lonnie just can't put it together, right? And I'm very excited to see all these guys get these opportunities because like I'm gonna be looking like like watching Lonnie so much coming into this year because of the opportunity that he's getting. Because all last year it was me and Josh talking about well, Lonnie should be doing this, Lonnie should be doing that. Well, you can't say that about Lonnie. Lonnie's not getting the opportunities. Well, it's like now Lonnie is getting the opportunities. Now we are
and that's why I think it's good, right?
This is when like I'm excited because I'm like I want to see Lonnie succeed. I want to see Lonnie improve.
Everybody
and this exactly this is the opportunity to see these type of questions fully get opened up because we're like, well,
and I feel like it's you were talking about Lonnie's extension, man. Sometimes I feel like you just got to do it, like extend him because
if he has like a crazy good season, and we have to pay him,
then we're gonna have to pay him. Yeah, man. So like you extend him and you say, hey, Lonnie, this is what you've done so far. We're gonna give you this amount because of what you've done, rather than, hey, Lonnie, you put it together, you went off. Now I'm gonna have to
let you walk on, right?
At that point, you kind of put it in the players' in their court, so to speak, right? Because then it's like you could take this offer, or you can bet on yourself and think that you could play better and demand more.
I'm sure. and it could happen. It definitely could happen. If Lonnie goes off, another team's gonna have money. Luka might call him and be like, "Hey, New York's pretty cool,"
I'm sure that that the Spurs organization has already talked to Lonnie about extensions. Because like there's not I feel like there's not really a reason. I think in a sense the thing is like Lonnie probably talked to the organization, was like, hey, this is my year to show my opportunity, like to show off that I am a good basketball player.
You think he bet on himself?
Yeah, like I'm thinking that like if Lonnie, if the organization probably told Lonnie, we'll give you like 11 to 13 million a year, then Lonnie was like, nah, I see how much money DJ's making. I see how much money Derek's making. And I think I could probably move up to that as well, given the opportunity. He bet on himself this year. You know what I mean? This is his year to show the squad, to show the team, like, I am worth this 17 million that the rest of my teammates are making, right?
He averaged 11 points a game last year on 35% from three, only 42% from the field overall. And I think that was still like, it was a weird year regardless anyways, just COVID and all the type of stuff that happened. But I think just going in this year, consistency with him, and we always talked about just giving him the opportunity. I think that's fine. That's serviceable enough. And I think you can rely on him to improve. I think his 3-point shooting will become a little bit more consistent. I think having just like how we said, the 6 man, I think that'll just do wonders for his confidence and his mindset. And I'm high on Lonnie. I don't see him falling out of the lineup whatsoever.
Yeah,
and I think I wouldn't mind extending him for that DJ Derek money either, because like the Thad.
Well, we got those guys on deals. Like, even though they're making like that, like DJ, I feel like was a steal. So even if Lonnie says, "Hey, I want that DJ money," like, okay, give it to him, because DJ's not making DJ money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's not.
Yeah, exactly. I think my biggest like actual takeaway from that question was more or less like seeing how y'all feel about like Lonnie being expendable, like in the sense of like, yeah, I'm getting clear nose, right? But like, you see Josh come in and again, like y'all see him. I don't know if y'all see him as a pure point guard. I see him as a combo guard. I see him as a guy that he can play, honestly, how Derek does, right? Because Derek can play as your point guard, but Derek can play as an off-ball guard that, can shoot when he needs to or score when he needs to. And I see Josh as that, but to a larger extent, a better scorer. Right?
I think that if Primo puts fire behind a guy like Trey Jones, if he does put a fire behind a guy like Lonnie, it's like a 1 or 2 years like removed kind of thing. Like, he's behind you, but you still have time. This is your time right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
And if Primo shows that he could shoot and play make, then why not just replace Bryn? If Bryn's expendable.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
I don't.
If we're seeing a Lonnie Bryn lineup, then yeah, of course. That's exactly. I would love to just make it a Josh Lonnie lineup instead of that. I'm more or less just throwing around because, like I said before, like I think all these guys are around the same skill level, around the same talent level. In a sense, these are just experimental lineups in my head that are like, well, I think what Trey brings to the table can be what Lonnie can't bring to the table, and vice versa, obviously. So there's like just little things like that where like I think all these guys are closer to the same level of talent than I think y'all would probably assume, for me at least. Because I think I would probably put, while it is maybe at like a lower and higher end of a spectrum, I would probably put Lonnie, Trey, Josh, all in like that same group. It's just that Lonnie would just be at the top of that group, and Lonnie would be at the top of the group, and Trey would be at the bottom. Josh would be like in that middle area, right? Just whatever. If that's like a good way to like tell y'all how I think about like what this team looks like in that sense.
Yeah. But just like in terms of the roster makeup and who we also have on the court or on the roster, it's like you can you can find a way to have Lonnie and Josh at the same time. If Josh like really forces his way onto the court with how good he's playing, it doesn't have to come at the expense of a guy like Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, for sure.
Lonnie is probably, I don't know, it says he was 22 last year. So if he's 23 this year and you're trying to get rid of him in favor of, another guy, like I just feel like you would just stick with him. And like how Josh said, just pay him now, because lock him up until he's 26, 27, 28, and he'll be a much better player by then. So
yeah, and maybe we're still kind of holding out a little bit of like, well, let's keep these two guys on their 17 million a year. Let's see what next offseason brings in terms of bringing in a bigger guy that might demand a little bit more money, and then we'll go from there or something like that. Because we could lock up Bryn and Derek and KJ and Lonnie all like right around that same price point for the same number of years. Like, and
Don't
it could look.
Say Bryn.
Oh, sorry. Did if I said Bryn, I meant KJ. KJ, Devin, Lonnie, and our 2 point guards.
Hey,
Like,
guys, it's
all
not a
of those
knock on Bryn.
guys.
I'm just saying, like,
Bryn,
Yeah,
Bryn's the
yeah, yeah.
future,
let's
man.
lock up
He's an
some other
NBA
guys first.
champion.
Yeah,
He's an
is, man,
NBA
and
champion.
I like Bryn. I like Bryn. I hope he's a better Bryn than I expect. But like,
You want to
Well,
see a Bryn
he's-
I
2.0?
want to
He's in-
see.
yeah,
I
he's
want to
champion
see like
Bryn.
Lonnie and KJ and everybody get their money before we start locking them dudes
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. But
This
that's
Justian
what
Bryn
I mean.
signs a 5-year,
Yeah,
200.
nah, dog. Like, no, thank you.
Oh man.
But that's what we could have. You know, I mean, we could have KJ and Lonnie and our 2 point guards and Vassell at some point like locked in for like the same amount of money for a decent amount of years, like all together. You know what I mean?
I'm very excited to see the opportunities that this team is going to come in. And I think we talked about our lineups. We taled about specific guys coming in and out, experimental stuff. But I think one of our biggest things that we're probably going to be looking into is who's closing games. I doubt we're going to be playing games where we're just completely demolishing our guys, or games where we're getting demolished. Like, I think those games are going to happen very few and not often at all. And so if that's the case, we need a new closer. We need a guy who's going to take the ball and shoot and, like, create, right? Do the DeMar thing. Be DeMar, right?
Who is it,
Um,
Juan?
yeah.
I already know who it is. You know who it is.
It is
It's
DJ.
That is not a question, buddy.
Yeah.
It is not.
I'd love to see it be DJ. I just don't know about his creation aspect. It's just not his thing. It's just not his game that he's
and
bad.
I think he can.
He's built.
I think he
he's built
has
it
not
up.
had to show it. Like, I think
you're right.
DJ
You're right.
can get where he wants to be when he wants to get there. Like, I do feel like that. And if he wants to create a shot for somebody else to close the game, right? If we have shooters, if that's what Pop asked him to do, hey, I need you to create for one of our shooters, I feel like he could do it. And if Pop says go get a shot, I feel like he can go get a shot.
And not to mention, he's smart enough that he is able to make those reads. If I break this guy down and something happens, I can make the right read and give it to the right guy.
Yeah,
so,
like
I would say he's a great creator.
I think it's DJ. No matter, like, exactly what we're talking about. Like, no matter if his job is to get a shot, like get his own shot, he could do it. If his job is to create for somebody else, he could do that as well. And on the other end, if his job is to get a fucking stop, it's DJ,
yeah,
right?
for sure. That's
It's
not.
like
That's
three.
not that was the answer last year. Our defensive closer last year was DJ. It wasn't.
I just think
you didn't tell me that DeMar was the guy that was going to make the defensive
Oh,
stop.
I'm just saying. I just think it's DJ all around.
Yeah.
Like, all around, it's DJ.
Yeah,
That was such an absurd statement you said.
It's
I don't
know. It's just
create.
something that like he's obviously built his on the ball creation throughout these last couple of years, and like Josh said, he hasn't had the opportunity to show that he can be a better creator.
I think he's shown it, but he just hasn't. He's
had flashes.
It wasn't his it wasn't his job to do it at the end of the game. Like,
exactly.
Now it's his job.
That.
Like,
I just think, I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to tell you I feel more comfortable with the ball being in the hands of Derek or Lonnie.
He's
but
like, just give it to Trey. Trey's shown it. I knew it was coming.
I think our closer this year should be Devin Vassell. He's clearly shown enough.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I kind of want to come into is more of the team. Like, it's not going to be a one closer kind of guy. It's not going to be we need to give it to this guy at the end of the game. Now, I guess in the aspect of, like, let's just say all of our guys are just streaky shooting all throughout the game. Nobody's been able to pick up be able to, like, do anything. It's just been like a rough game overall, but we've, like, fought hard on defense, and this is why it's a close game, right? And if that's the case, I'd probably say maybe I want to go DJ. But honestly, I think in some aspects, I want to say that I want to put, like, Derek in that position because of his spacing, in that sense of he's just able to I think I like seeing Derek with the ball in his hands and be able to create a little bit more than what I've just been able to see DJ do. That's literally, like, just eye test stuff. And that's the only thing is because obviously we haven't been able to see it all too it's this last year. But, like, the bubble, I think I can still kind of go back to the bubble and still say
the
that
bubble, you're like
Derek,
5 seasons ago.
it's still barely a year ago at this point, right? Or 2 years ago. Like, I mean, it's it's not like, even if it was 2 seasons ago, like it was a Derek that we hit, like it's still a Derek that it has not been that long since we've seen that Derek play. And so I think if he can be healthy coming into this season and we start to see bubble Derek again, I think that's a guy that we can kind of go to be a closer, that we can say, all right, Derek, the ball's in your hand and we want you to take the shot. We want, like, not a, we want you to create and then find an open man. It's a, we want you to take the shot.
Yeah,
And
if DJ wants
sometimes,
Derek to take the shot,
Yeah.
exactly. I believe he will.
DeJounte is the
I believe
guy.
he will.
It definitely, well, yeah, DeJounte's the guy. He's the leader of the offense. He's like, but like at
Well, there
times
you
you're
go.
just like, we want the ball in this guy's hands at the end of the game. And sometimes that could be Derek. I think the thing for me could be like, just
Yeah,
in a sense,
you're right. Sometimes it could be Derek,
hot
but that
hand
means that it
that
usually
it should be
DeJounte.
DJ, right? I am saying that I think the way that it's going to be going throughout though is that like it's the hot hand. It's not going to be a set. This is DJ. This is Derek. This is Lonnie. Because at the same time, let's just say Keldon's having a crazy game, and we want Keldon to just attack the rim to finish the game. You know what I mean? Like we
Off
want
of a DJ
Keldon
pass.
attacking. We want
Yeah.
Keldon attacking, and then we want DJ, Derek, Yak, and whoever like our other man is on the court to crash the board for a rebound if KJ can't hit that.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. DJ is not going to close 82 games, but if DJ
Yeah.
closes 3/4 of the games, the closer's DJ, no matter. He's like,
Yeah. I mean,
and it's not a slight against Derek. I 100% was on like the same page with you. I think Derek is that guy too. Like if DJ breaks somebody down, it was just like against Houston. That's what was happening. DJ would break somebody down. They would like put a lot of pressure on him. He would just throw the ball to Derek, and then Derek would make a play. And that's, yes, you would love to have more than one closer. And I think you're right. I was going to use the bubble as, I was going to say as well, like he showed a lot in the bubble. Like he can make plays. He hits big shots. I think I've talked to you about this a lot, Jake. I think Derek just makes a lot of winning plays. He might not always have like the ball in his hand and score, but like he makes winning plays offensively and defensively. And I think you can't go wrong with if he closes the game out for you. But I just think DeJounte is hands down the guy. He's gonna have the ball in his hands. He's got the mentality, that kind of stuff like you always talk about, like the Mamba mentality type stuff. Like he goes and gets it, and he's not afraid of the moment. He wants it the moment, and I think he'll elevate those around him, and he'll bring pressure onto himself, and it'll make things easier for everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I think about, like in a closer, is like that's the person who, no matter what, you feel comfortable with what his decision is, whether it was a pass or a shot, whether it was a make or a miss, whether it was a win or a loss, you're like, well, I stand by that. You know what I mean? And DJ's a guy that, like, no matter what, like, I'm going to feel comfortable. I mean, I feel, most, probably like 90% of the time, I'm going to feel comfortable with whatever decision he decides to make at the end of a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would agree. No matter who, in what you're saying, Jake, feed the hot hand, find the good shooters who've been having rhythm. We're gonna hopefully have a lot of options. That would be great if the defense is like, damn, I can't sag off on Derek, can't sag off on Doug, can't sag off on, like that kind of stuff. We want all that, but it's got to start with DJ every time.
Yeah, I think in my head, because the way that I've always seen the closer is
that combo
always
went way different in your head.
No, it didn't. I knew y'all were gonna be more. I knew y'all were gonna be more against me on that. It's not. It's
so
definitely
you did
not
this
a.
for the views.
Yeah, exactly.
Views.
Right.
Okay.
No. I think in my head, whenever I think of closers and stuff like that, I think more shot creation before playmaking. Right. Like playmaking is a great secondary skill to have. That's the thing that you need to if you can't create a shot for yourself in that given point in time, you need to be able to give the ball out to whoever's open, right? And that's why I like DeMar so much in our closing, because it was like dude could create the shot for himself when he wanted to, but then there were times when you could just see when the defense was either sleeping or when he just caught everybody off guard and bam, open shot to somebody else, right? And in my head, that's because DeMar is a scorer first and a playmaker second. And DeJounte is a playmaker first and a scorer second.
No, see, that's where I disagree with you.
At the moment, I think that's exactly what it is. Because he's, I mean, like, like
No,
he's built
DeJounte
up
coming into
his
the league,
scoring.
DeJounte was a turnover machine and not a playmaker, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
worked
because
his
he was a
way up to the
defensive
play.
player. He wasn't even like his offensive game just wasn't even there when he came into the league. It
No, I
wasn't
feel
even
like
like
he
a
could always attack the basket and get his own shot, but he wasn't a point guard. He wasn't setting other people up. And I feel like he's shown the last couple of years,
that his
outside
playmaking's
of
gotten.
outside of DeMar, he was the best one to get his own
Oh,
shot.
okay, yeah,
And that's where that's where I would go first as a closer is, okay, who can go get their own shot one-on-one real quick?
yeah.
And I feel like DeJounte's playmaking has taken leaps and bounds as he's progressed throughout the years. Um, just the other night against you, I always keep bringing up Houston is because I fell in love with what I saw with out of DeJounte and Derek. But DeJounte was 27-7 on like 8 of 12 shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hey,
it's like
that was my that was gonna be my. It's not really a hot take, but that was gonna be what my averages were for, like,
for the
because
season.
everybody's gonna have to step up. We did lose DeMar. That was 20, right? That we just lost off top. Not to mention what we lost from Rudy. Not to mention what we lost from Patty. But to me, like DJ this season, like 27-7. Like that's what he's gonna. To me, that's what he's gonna average this
Yeah,
year.
and his
That's what he's bringing
playmaking
to the
has got to
table.
that point where you're comfortable in saying, I can see DeJounte averaging 7 assists a game.
Mhm.
He averaged 5 last
Easy.
year. And, I think with just taking those possessions like from DeMar and putting them to DeJounte, I feel like, yeah, his playmaking is what I feel like was lacking and now
Now has gotten. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right. Like there's that. I still will stand by like the whole. I think at that point, my argument would just be that I just think Derek is a better creator, a better shot creator. Like his scoring is just a little bit better than DeJounte's. I maybe
I
obviously
will give you that
DeJounte's
3
really good at
levels.
attacking the rim, but I think Derek's more, like
3 level scoring is
yeah,
probably, you
is
could
is
say,
better
because of
than
his 3-point ability.
right.
But imagine if even if you ran a play for Derek White to get the shot, if it starts with a DeJounte Murray breakdown or something like that, like you're putting the defense in a much tougher position when you give Derek White the ball when the play's already in motion versus Derek White is the one who's having to start the play for himself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, yeah, I mean I get that, and at that point, right, you're telling like that's pretty much saying DJ starts the play. He's pretty much manning the helm at that point, being that point guard for this team, and then it just kind of goes off into the shooter, which would be Derek at that point. And yeah, I mean it's not like you're gonna hear me complain that DJ's our closer. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely a thing that like in my head I just kind of wanted to like I'm just trying to think of like, well, what if this isn't necessarily what we're going to be seeing, right? And then what if we do need a different closer? What if if it can't necessarily be the one guy everybody's expecting it to be?
What was the game last year? Was it against Utah or Golden State? He was hitting like every shot down the stretch, and then there was like that like fade, like he was running like baseline and then hit like a fadeaway like 3 or something like that to win the game basically. Um, I just remember that game because he was like hitting like every shot down the stretch, and then it was kind of like a part of that run where we were like hitting our stride. I think right before that COVID hit, but I feel like we'll see more and more of that this year. Remember last year against Brooklyn where he like picked the ball up and just like threw it up and at the
Hit the
buzzer
3
to
at the
send
top
it
of the
to
key, right?
to send it to overtime. I feel like giving like DeJounte more opportunities, you'll see more and more of that. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what we talk about. That's the mentality. That's like that dog. He's got it. He's not afraid of the moment. Everybody can
Yeah,
just
he's not.
chunk up a shot, but
But DeJounte will, especially with his 3-point shooting this coming into the preseason, it just looks so much more confident. Like he'd already looked decently confident coming into the thing, but yeah, like it pretty much was just like a thing where DeJounte. Yeah, I think this is like that year that it's just gonna start becoming DeJounte's team. This is the thing that we're gonna start seeing a lot more, even if it is more team based, right? Team oriented.
Agreed.
But with that being said, we've got a good look into our roster. We talked a lot about how this team is faring, the potential of this team. I think all of us can say that the potential of this team is just through the roof. Like we just have so much upside to us. There's not necessarily going to be negative to seeing this team play at all. I think it's going to be a very, very fun, very exciting season. We have our 82 games though. I would like to know what your season predictions would be. What do y'all think you would be kind of looking into? How do y'all think we would fare?
Go, Jake. Go start it out, Jake. I want to hear. Let's see what you got.
While people are gathering their thoughts, let me just kind of frame it. So last year that we went 33 and 39 for that 10th spot. The play-in games is 7 through 10, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 7th seed last year, the Lakers won 42 games. So if we're just talking play-in, 42, then 38, and then 39, and then we were the dip down to 33. I don't know if you want any other numbers. The number 1 seed Jazz were 52 wins. So just to kind of give
like
your
a 70-game season.
Yeah,
so.
72
Yes.
game season.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Season.
I was like kind of like because I had my number kind of low, and I was like, wait a minute, there's no way that I don't think we'd be low. So how many wins did you say we had?
We went 33 and 39 last year.
And I think I saw that last year's over-under was also 28.5.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
I think we like.
Wait, so last year with DeMar, they said we're going to win 28 games as well?
Yeah.
Dude, these dudes are tripping.
So I think if you want to go ahead and hear my little take, I would probably say
it's going to be low. That's why I knew. That's why I wanted you to hear first. I just wanted.
We'd probably be around a
33,
34 win team.
Okay, same.
And so it's going to be the same amount of wins,
but more losses.
But we're playing 82 games in a season, so we're not going to, we're going to have more losses, and then it's still going to be putting us down there in the likes of the 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I was going to say this year, 33 wins is not getting to the playoffs.
33 wins is not getting us into the playoffs. That puts us like not at 15, but later.
I think you're wrong because what were the bottom 5 teams? You have it pulled up, Chris? That
bottom 5, like the ones that did not make the playoffs. I'll start at 11. So 11th seed was the Pelicans at 31 wins.
Yeah, see.
The Kings at 12, also at 31 wins. Then there's a kind of a jump or drop, I should say. Minnesota Timberwolves dropped to 23 wins. Oklahoma City at 22 wins, and then Houston Rockets at 17.
So I think Minnesota will have a better year. Like I do. In Houston, I feel like they're gonna stay low.
Houston's gonna stay low.
Houston's gonna stay low, but even like team like Sacramento, like they have the potential to move up. Same thing for like I said, like Minnesota. So I don't think that 33.
OKC?
Yeah, like OKC. She's Shea for whatever reason, man. That guy can score a bucket.
Mm-hmm. They still have I don't know.
And then the ones right above us, Golden State.
Like Golden State with Clay
and Memphis.
You know they're getting better. I mean Zion's hurt, so New Orleans is kind of hard to say. And then plus, I don't know if the picture that I saw was like real. I know he looked big during his press conference, but they were showing like his.
You about the one where he's going like this?
No, yeah, they just showed like
he's like holding a ball, and then it's like a image of him in 2019 and an image of him like coming into this year, and it's two totally different people, man. It's not.
There was a photoshopped one where they kind of made his neck look a little bigger than it actually.
Yeah, so like it's kind of. I saw like the press car, I saw the interviews and stuff, but like I couldn't really tell like what his body looks like, right? So like if he cannot stay healthy or if he's heavier, like who knows what New Orleans is going to do? But like the other teams, I feel like they're going to get better. Like the Lakers are not going to be no 7 seed this year. The Golden State, even though they were already forward. So like I still don't think that 33 wins is going to get us in this year.
Yeah, I don't think 33 wins gets us in into the playoffs at all. I think,
but I do believe that 40 will, and that's what we're gonna have.
You say 40 on the dot?
Nah, I gotta say 40 because I'm saying like 500, so it kind of be like 41. But like I think we'll be above 500. I said this last year, and I really do feel like if we didn't just like get rammed by the COVID and like everything, like we just lost our groove. Yeah. I feel like we could have kept that momentum going and pushed up into that. Because last year 500, I said 500 last year, and that would have been like at what 37 72 game season, 36.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, so like I feel like we could have hit that last year as well.
That still would have put us.
so
That still would
I
have put us below.
We
No,
we
it-
wouldn't have moved our seed. We would have stayed in 10
but I felt like we would have had the 500 season, like above 500
and
season.
we were
I feel
only
like we
and
could
we were
have
only
had
three
it.
game we were only 3 games off of that mark anyway.
Yeah. So like
so
I'm gonna
last
put
year-
us high at 44, like the high end of my expectations, like 44 wins. Because I feel like we
Okay.
are a 500 team. Like I feel like with the guys that we have, and even though there are young guns, and I still feel like we're a 500 team, above 500. I'll say above 500 team.
Okay. Juan, what were you gonna say?
So my prediction is 40 and 42. Just a game under 500. My whole thought process was I went and I looked at our record. The last 10 games of the season last year, we went 2-8. So we were 31 and 31, and then we ended up finishing 33 and 39. So we were playing 500 ball last year anyways. And then it just all fell apart. And that was after the COVID stuff. I think that's why we fell down to 500. We were the 4th seed at one point, all that type of stuff. But just like taking all that into account, I feel like our guys can play 500 ball again. But I also am taking it into account we're losing DeMar. DeMar won us a lot of games last year. And I feel like that's why I have us under 500 is because I feel like our guys are going to win some of those games, but not like as many of the games that DeMar won us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like we're going to improve as a team, but we're also not going to win as much of those close ones because they're going to be learning experiences. They're going to be growing pains. And that's why I had us at under 500, not as like bad as we were last year with that 33 and 39, but like we're 31 and 31. I don't really remember what happened. I guess we really struggled to end the year.
The crowd is going to be a factor this season too. Remember, we had like none of that last year.
Yeah, so I got us at 40 and 42, but like fighting for that playing spot. Maybe not quite 7-8 seed.
Well, all right, I'm gonna let Chris get his season prediction out, and then I kind of want to like go through the teams because honestly, like teams have changed quite a good amount, and there's like a couple teams that I think y'all would probably think would drop, and teams that I think we'd probably kind of give them a higher edge, right? And so then that could kind of give us a good estimate on where we think we could probably put ourselves in between.
In terms of seeding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too? Yeah. Well,
because,
let me just jump in real quick, and then
exactly.
because it won't take long. I would say like we're going to be right around that same spot. I'll probably put us I guess for the official record, let me just say that let me put us at 30. Well, 41 would be even. I don't want to put us below 500. I'll put us at right at 40. So is that 40 and 42? That's what Juan said, right?
Yeah. So
right.
we got 44 wins.
I think that's a good mark.
Yeah.
I did say 44 top. So
Josh said 44 wins. Juan and Chris both at that 40 and 42 range, and I was saying like 33, 34. I'm a cement it at 34 wins. 34 wins would
34
probably
is
be
the
like,
low, 44 is the high, and then 40 in the middle. Hey, that's all right.
Yeah. So
y'all
that's
keep
like
going. I'll be right back.
My sentiment thing was. But yeah, so if we look at the Western Conference, I think we can safely assume that Utah is still going to be at the top, right? Whether or not that's like a 1 through 3 seed, right? I think we can safely assume that Utah is going to be at the top. Phoenix would probably stay at the top. Denver would probably stay at the top, and I think we could move LA up to the top, right, as your top 4 seeds, right?
Either one of those LA teams.
No,
I feel like
because Kawhi is out, like he has an ACL injury, like he's been out from like the end of the playoffs to now, and still going to be out for like the regular season.
Commercials. I feel like he'll be all right.
I don't know. I mean, I think knowing Kawhi's history,
dude, honestly, the way Paul George played in the playoffs, if he plays like that, he could have them up there.
I think that still makes the Clippers a playoff team. I don't know that it makes them a top 4 seed. Like I don't think the Lakers, Denver, Phoenix, or Utah give up a top 4 seed to the Clippers.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I feel like Phoenix last year was Cinderella.
Phoenix was Cinderella. It doesn't matter if they were Cinderella or not. Like for the
But
finals run,
but as far as
but
top four, we're
like
gonna
regular
see
season wise, that team's good enough to be a top 4 seed. I think that team's
Well,
good
we'll
enough.
see.
Like
We'll
I don't
see.
know who like it doesn't really matter. They'll probably still be in the top 8.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like they're more in the cemented for higher seeds than
Okay,
lower
so
seeds.
Are y'all
those
doing
top eight?
Y'all doing locks for playoffs so far in West or what?
Yeah, pretty
Jake's
much.
trying to
Kinda.
lock people at top 4 already, but we're trying to just have
Okay,
a playoff outlook.
go. I mean, you got Utah, LA's 34,
And then Denver, which would make it
and then
5.
Denver still 5.
I think those are your guaranteed. Those guys are going to be in the playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
That's so
You
1 through 5. So that means we're
You have
gonna have
after
what,
that you
5 more
have
spots?
Dallas. You have Dallas, who went 42 and 30. They didn't necessarily make any changes to their roster this year, so I think they would probably stay in like that same
they made a coaching change though.
a coaching change, right?
So
So
like a philosophy change basically, you know
so
what I'm saying?
that could actually be a good or bad thing, but I still think the talent of Luka is enough to where they're not going to necessarily be like out of anything, out of playoff contention at least, right?
Yeah.
Then you have Portland, same thing. Didn't make any major changes. I would still put them in that same tier as Dallas, right? Fighting in those 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds. After that, we already talked about LA. We already talked about the Lakers, right? So then we have Memphis. Do y'all think Memphis makes a jump?
If what's his name could stay healthy.
Jaren
Jackson.
Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr., yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. wasn't healthy at all throughout that entire season, and they
Yeah.
made it to an 8th seed. So
Yeah, so
you know,
I mean, if he could stay healthy, it obviously makes him better.
right?
Yeah.
So then I think it's good for us to say that Memphis makes that jump. I think Golden State makes that jump because they get Clay back, and if Clay can come back healthy halfway through the season, they should be able to be fine.
So he's not due to come back until when?
I think
I thought it was the same time as Zach. I
Yeah.
thought it was like Christmas,
I
right?
thought it was Christmas time.
Okay.
And so at that
Well,
point,
we'll see how that goes. I mean, Juan just talked about how the last 10 games of the season really dictated where we fell for us at the end. Well, what if the first 15 games of how they start the season dictates kind of where they end? You know what I mean? Without him.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, like after saying all that stuff, there's literally nobody that like in the first 9 seeds that you're gonna tell me like are just gonna completely drop out. Like obviously like seedings are gonna change, but I don't think anybody's necessarily gonna drop out to like fall to a comfortable or an uncomfortable 9-10 range, fighting to like stay into the play in. You know what I mean?
Now here's the thing though. I mean, like you were saying about like seedings will change. Well, it could be a year. Other than if you take the Spurs out of last year's playoffs at 33 wins, I mean 39 wins to 42 wins, a 3-game span takes you from 9th seed all the way to 5th seed.
See, so that's what I was gonna say. That's why I brought up the 2 and 8 to end the season. We were fighting for that 8th seed. We were in that discussion to even be like in the top 8. We were 31 and 31. Golden State, I'm looking at it, they finished on a 6-game win streak, so they were 33 and 33 at one point. Like we were all on that same thing, and we just dropped. We plummeted while everybody else kept winning a couple of games, but we were still like in the discussion to even try to get up there with those other teams. Maybe not as high as like the 42 and 30s, but like at least be the 8th seed, And but
well, I don't know. I feel like the way that this last year's seedings look, it literally kind of gives me like, I think we're just gonna see the exact same stuff, but instead that 10th seed is literally gonna be fought between like the likes of Sacramento, Minnesota, and maybe us, like and New Orleans. Like I think it's still gonna be the same thing where like at the end of the year you're gonna see that drop from 1 through 9 all being kind of, obviously 9 and 1 aren't close, but 1 through 9 it being close. And then that 10th seed is literally going to be that drop off, and you're going to see the likes of San Antonio, New Orleans, Sacramento, Minnesota fighting for that. Because honestly, Minnesota went through some pretty like weird things throughout the season, like a lot of COVID and stuff like that. Cat wasn't having the best season of his career, going through the things that he had to go through from COVID. And when I like think about that, you kind of, I don't know. I think you have to assume the likes of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns make a jump from 23 wins. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I will just say that I think that it's gonna be a dogfight for like 8, 9, 10, and probably even more.
I don't think so. I
I'm
literally think I think it is just gonna like you're kind of seeing your 1 through 9 fight. You're not
Well,
that
that's
10th seed
why
is gonna be it. Like that 10th
uh,
seed's gonna be the one thing that's like a that's gonna be fought for between like the bottom teams,
I
but the
I
rest of it's gonna be like
I personally do not see any dramatic improvement from any of those bottom five. Obviously, Houston and Oklahoma City are just like bad teams going through like a little rebuild.
yeah.
I don't think Minnesota or Sacramento are ever gonna like just go from like years and years and years of just being like bad, even though they have all this young talent, to just all of a sudden
Yeah,
it's just gonna
it's
click.
you haven't seen the evidence to show that the talent is going to result in wins because they've had talent for years. Sacramento's had young talent. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? For
Well,
years, Minnesota's had that young talent and
and it's the same
definitely
thing with New Orleans.
iterations of the young talent. You know what I mean? It's
definitely
changed obviously, but
I think that it kind of shows like in a sense like a competent front office to a non-competent front office because like when I
The
like
thing
look
is,
at
it's
that
just
when I look
whenever I
at
see those, y'all talk about it. I'm like, well, we don't know what happened. Like, we didn't watch all those Minnesota games. There could have
Yeah.
been a couple of games, like let's just say 5 games that 1 or 2 things didn't go their way, and it could flip this year. You know what I mean? And then that's their spot up there
yeah,
with us.
but like Juan was saying, you
And
take
and
you
and then
take, you
and like
take
he
away
said, we
that.
lost Demar. Like
Well,
it could be the
but
same. It could be the same thing. Like as we're talking about the 40s, and then like all those games that we might be in that DeMar made the shot, like exactly what Juan said. Like
yeah,
we could drop, and then there goes Minnesota leapfrogging us.
like Juan is saying, we went and kind of plummeted right there at the end. Let's say we just don't do that. Like that's the
Yeah,
only
I
fact
mean, yeah,
let's
that's
say,
true.
let's just
That's
say like
true.
that's gone, right? If that's gone and we finish the year at like 38 wins or 39 wins,
Hey,
now
what
it
was
is
our
exactly
losing
what I
streak
said,
too?
which
Didn't we have like right at
is
the COVID? We had like a
that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying is like
was that
we hit
that
these.
wasn't to end the year, right? That was in the
Well,
middle of the year.
No,
one
no, no,
second.
no. But while he's looking it up, but that's what I'm saying is like, let's say that doesn't happen to us. Now all
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
sudden,
yeah. I understand.
the 10th seed through the 5th seed are all within 3 games of each other.
Mhm.
Like it's
Yeah,
that close. And so
and there's a drop off between
and
10
then
and the
there's a
bottom
drop off.
five.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily. I'm kind of more leaning towards one. Like I don't think there's gonna be
What was
a
Minnesota's
big.
record last year?
Minnesota won 23 games, 23 and
23.
49.
So 10 games.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be that tight. I mean, and especially because Memphis is in that 8th spot. Well, again, I mean, Dallas is way up in the 5th, but still only 42 wins, only four games separated them from Memphis. But Memphis is at that 8th spot. San Antonio is at the 10, and New Orleans is at the 11. All 3 in the same division. That's going to be crazy competitive. That's going to be crazy important to see like where that kind of stuff lands. So like I don't know. I think it's going to be jammed from like at the very least you could probably safely say it's going to be jammed from like 7 through 10. And if anything, maybe even pushing into the 6th, into the 5th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be that tight again.
Either way, I do think I mean it's gonna be fun to see how our teams fare. It's gonna like I think I'm probably undervaluing us just a little bit. I think we're probably gonna be fighting a little bit closer compared. But I still think y'all are kind of a little bit higher. You know, it's just like how the season is kind of looking out because like it's still. I mean, I don't know. Like as much as I love how much our team is looking, how much the potential of our team is, we don't necessarily have the talent of a Karl Anthony Towns on our team that like, you know, I feel like if we did have the talent of Karl Anthony Towns on our team, if we had the roster of Minnesota with the with like the San Antonio front office, then I think we're making moves to push us into a playoff seeding team because that's the talent that Minnesota has. They're just not making the right moves to put it together, right?
I just think they don't got winning players. You know,
I don't know.
if we had that talent like of Karl Anthony Towns or like an Anthony Edwards, stuff like that, yeah, but like
Well, hey, it might be that guy, dude. It might be that guy this year. He could win them 5 games.
And could
That
make his
guy-
jump, you know.
they've had plenty of talent. Like all those teams have had top 5 top 10 talent like all these years, and
Yeah, because
Like
we even
the
using
Cleveland's.
yeah,
Minnesota, you would think like, man, if they just had somebody to push them in the right direction. It's like, well, they had a guy like Jimmy Butler, and it still didn't work.
Hmm.
yeah. So
Well, but that's two different. I feel like that's two different structures, though. Like that team back then was Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jimmy Butler. Now you have D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns. The only
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the only player that's staying the same there is Karl Anthony Towns, and
But
Karl
so
Anthony Towns
what
is far
I'm
and away the best player on both of those.
but what I'm hearing is that's still just another unproven thing. Yeah, it's great talent, but it's just another iteration of young
yeah.
talent that's unproven from these
Mhm,
teams.
Just
for
think
And
sure.
about
Minnesota hasn't been able to put a lot of their iterations of talent together. Sacramento has not been able to put many iterations of young talent together. And
just
then,
think
like you
about
said,
like
OKC and Thunder, OKC and Houston, they're on the bottom trying to find their way up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
think about like us and Memphis and everything fighting for these playing games the last 2 years, and who has Memphis had besides John Morant? Just Jaren Jackson's always hurt. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like how are we finding ways to win and get into these playing games when these other teams are far and away like acquiring more draft like capital and like picks and higher end talent? You know what I mean? I think it's just winning cultures. Our division's always been like that. The Memphis, Dallas, us,
Yeah.
obviously Houston had James Harden for a while, but like we find ways to win, and those other teams are kind of just they kind of it feels like
Yeah,
they find ways to always be at the bottom. I don't
They're
know how
they're the
or what.
Cleveland Browns of the NBA.
Yeah,
Cleveland's not doing too bad this year.
Yeah, but they just find ways to
But
lose.
alrighty then. I'm one all for one. I think all of us are very, very excited to see San Antonio play. We play against Orlando this Wednesday to start off the season opener. Do we play anybody else this week? Like, what's our schedule looking like for the week?
Let me pull that up real quick.
While Chris is doing that, like the squad, both squads, right? San Antonio Spurs and our HHC squad are both improving, getting better every day, and we're gonna be both looking forward to great, amazing, fun seasons to talk Spurs basketball, to watch Spurs basketball, and to just enjoy being NBA fans in general, right? So I think this stuff is gonna be it's gonna be a fun roller coaster of emotions because I think we're gonna be very excited seeing our young guys win. We're gonna come into these weeks being a little devastated because we probably lost a winnable game. And we're just gonna have those growing pains, right? We're gonna have all these fun things coming out throughout the season because I don't think every game this season is gonna fare simple, right? Like whereas like last year we did have a lot of games where we kind of looked at it and we were like, yeah, this game kind of looks out of our hands, or this game looks like we should be just winning these games because we're just that middle of the pack type of team. But coming into this year, it's going to be like, yeah, we're looking to surprise, we're looking to beat the Lakers at this point in time, or we're looking to make sure that we don't get a surprise loss against a team like Orlando, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very very fun coming into this year. So what are
Yeah.
our games looking like, Chris?
Yeah. So before we give our wrapping up kind of thoughts, for this week, we start off the season on Wednesday against Orlando. Then 2 days later on Friday, we go to Denver and play them at Denver, and then we finish on Saturday against the reigning champions at home. But we got the Bucks coming to San Antonio. So those would be the first
Easy
three.
dub.
Those would be the first 3 games that we'll kind of be talking about, on our next episode. So I guess before we give our our wrap up of what we want to see for the year, you want to just say how do you think we're going to start the year with our first 3 games?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start off. I'm gonna say that we're 1-2.
2-1.
Okay, Josh says 2-1. Chris?
I'm gonna do the same thing I did last year, which is if we can stack more positive weeks than negative weeks, then that's gonna push us in the right direction. So I'll say 2-1. Also, we'll split some version of the back to back between Nuggets and Bucks, and then we'll start our season with a win against the Magic.
For sure. And Juan?
I'm gonna say 1-2. I think we're gonna take a little bit of like a bumpy road to start the season, just to get a little bit of figure out what we want to do going forward.
We got.
Yeah.
I mean, we got some good talent at the top of the. We play the Mavericks twice before November 12th. We'll have them see him twice. Lakers twice, but before November 14th. So there's a lot of strong teams up front.
And in all honesty, I just am scared that Jokic is going to just kill us on the glass, and then we're going to go the next night against Giannis on the glass. I just think it's going to be something to figure out.
Last year, KJ started the year strong, going against Zion and going against all those big boys. So I don't know, maybe Anthony Davis, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Oh, for sure. Well, it's very surprising to see it split two ways for the brothers. I was honestly expecting Juan to go 2-1 with them, but to see how somebody agree with me for once in our predictions is kind of fun, right?
Yeah, and let me just say this now. I'm gonna make the commitment. I'm gonna do I'll do a visual running tab of where our predictions are and how well we're doing as the year goes along.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Joel says that we're gonna go 3-0, baby.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and. All right, we got a good old Joel.
3-0. There you go.
3-0.
That's what we need.
But all right, with that being said, guys, we will be coming back here every Sunday at 10 a.m. Make sure y'all come out and watch us. We'll be, as you can see down below, we will be coming back October 24th for the next Sunday, talking about our latest games and stuff like that, talking about any Spurs news and having fun while doing it, right?
Sure.
With that being said, let's go enjoy some good old NFL football.
Some Cowboys football.
Yeah, let's go.
Jaguars got their first win of the year.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting.
In London.
In London, right? Yeah.
So, the Jacksonville running back got me a solid 22 points for me, so I'm excited. Josh dropped George Kittle for no reason, so I picked him up, and hopefully this next coming days.
I gave you the reasons, bro.
Josh dropped George Kittle for no reason. He could have kept him.
Jimmy G, trash. Trey Lance, trash. Well, we'll see. We'll see about. But George hasn't been doing nothing anyways. It's like Debo. They're like all wideouts.
I would rather have George Kittle over Hunter Henry. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, the stats say otherwise. It's just a name at this point. It's just a name at that point.
I don't know, man. Either way.
Go Spurs go.
Yeah, go Spurs go. Yep, exactly. We hope everybody has a wonderful and blessed Sunday. And that being said, we are out.
I guess not. We're not out. Damn it.
We're still here.